welcome to your Friday edition of Wasatch Weekends. We love getting to be here, bringing you the latest news in sports, entertainment, arts, and things taking place around our community. Now let's talk about some exciting community news. Park City Mountain just extended their ski season until April 23rd. This is the longest season in history since 1993. So if you are getting out there to enjoy the mountain at all, just make sure that you're soaking it up, because what a cool experience for all of us. Now we've seen some great snow. We have an awesome snowpack right now that we're going to hold on to for that beautiful spring skiing, which is my favorite time to get out there and enjoy. So if you love Park City Mountain Resort, well then we want to congratulate them on their exciting news for this season. I'm your host, Maddie Evans, for the next little bit of Wasatch Weekends, and we love you tuning in every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday starting at 7 a.m. We're going to take a look at that local weather forecast and see if we've got a storm coming our way to continue to help with that snowpack.
This resort report is brought to you by Sun and Ski Sports, your new mountain sports headquarters.
Are you looking for something super fun to do this weekend? Well then, Park City Film has always got you covered, and I'm here with Katy Wang this morning to give us more information on all of the fun that you guys are going to have this weekend, so let's talk about it.
I'm super excited for this weekend. It is, I guess, for film lovers, outside of festivals, this is kind of like the best week of the year weekend of the year because we're heading into the Academy Awards. You get to see all of your favorite films from the year, cheer for your favorites, boo at the ones that won that you didn't want to win because it beat out your favorite and all that kind of stuff. But we're showing the Oscar-nominated short films this weekend, and I'm a huge fan of short films. And what's really special about them is they're just really not often seen in theaters. If you go to film festivals, you see some of the short collection, but to see them all together in one place, that these are the best short films of the year, and they're really the poetry of filmmaking, is just really just a fabulous treat. So we're always excited when it comes to Oscar weekend because we get to bring the shorts collection to our screen, and it's a different collection every night. So you can come every single night this weekend and see something different. So yeah, we're really excited about it, as you can see. So Friday night we'll have the animated shorts. Saturday we'll have the documentary, and then Sunday we'll have the live action. And they are completely different, as you can imagine, from each other. Fantastical, poignant, provocative, historical, intense. I mean, it's just kind of it's like that box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get, but it's always something delightful, and you're looking forward to the next bite that you're going to take.
I love the shorts. The animated ones, I feel like, are always so emotional. Like, they pull on your heartstrings. They get you involved. They just know how to hit home with you. Especially, like I said, those animated ones, I feel like they always do such a good job on. And some of them, they have no speaking, so they just have the audio of like classical music with them. And you're right, it is that box of chocolates of just sheer fun, sheer wonder, and then just sheer excitement about what you're going to see. So what night are you most excited for?
This year I think it's kind of a toss-up. Normally the documentary shorts are the strongest of the collection, and this year they are exceptional. So I don't want to dissuade you from loving the documentary shorts, because you totally should. But the animation this year, I saw them with my 10-year-old. There are a couple that are not for children, so be forewarned. And we will let people know when they come in. You can see them on our website. There are a couple that are a little more risque than others. But they're just so engaging. As you said, most of them are nonverbal. But, there's one from Portugal where it's this little boy and his dad, and they live on the side of this mountain, and they basically base jump down into the village and then come back up again. And it's just, it's so beautifully done. And it's 7 minutes of just this intense storytelling. So I don't know, hard to decide. Live action this year, I think, is really good. There's one called The Irish Goodbye, which reminds me a little bit, a funnier version of The Banshees of Inisherin, um, about two brothers that are saying goodbye to their mother at her wake, and it's just very clever and funny. So I don't know. I don't know if I could tell you that one night's going to be better than the other, which is fun. We see people come all three nights because they are so very different. We are pulling one of the documentary shorts out, however, which is called Stranger at the Gate, which is expected to win. But that's not why we're pulling it out. We're pulling it out because we're doing a special screening of it on its own with the director at the end of April. So if you were looking forward to Stranger of the Gate, which is about a Marine, an ex-Marine who has a change of heart about how he addresses the Muslim community in his town, it is absolutely fabulous. But we are showing that later in the month of April. So you can put that one on the sidebar. But yeah, I don't know. I think they've all got something in there. But I don't know. My heart's always with the docs. So if I had to choose, I would say the docs or the live action, but they're all really good.
I mean, you guys do such a good job of curating such perfect events, and especially not only with just the time, because you guys had just done one that was incredible, and especially for International Women's Day, right? Like that one was phenomenal. You guys have another special screening taking place next Thursday. So let's talk about how you guys bring all of these to fruition and how you guys pick them.
So it's really fun for us to look at these films. I go to a lot of film festivals. I got a lot of recommendations from people in this town, of course, being in the home of the Sundance Film Festival. We are not short on opinions of what films should be seen, but I'm always looking for an eye for what will resonate with the various members of our community, right? And then sometimes there are films that you bring in that are completely unexpected, that you have maybe, you've never, the story is a revelation to you, but in that way, it opens you a window onto the world. So it's kind of all of these various elements that go into it. What's fun, again, about the documentary or the Oscar-nominated shorts, the documentary obviously being part of that, is that these are, it's kind of that, that box of variety that we're not curating them in that sense. They've already been curated, but it gives you that expansive look at the world and about how stories are told in different ways in different parts of the world, and looking at environmental conservation and political action and the oppression of women and liberation. And so all of these different themes, it's kind of all wrapped up into one night. And so you're hitting all these different notes. And so the conversations, as you can imagine, between the films when the credits are rolling, and then certainly afterward, there's just this kind of bubble of excitement that people can't wait to talk to the person next to them. And that's really what we're hoping for, right? For all of our films, is that it brings something out in you, whether it's, you're crying through the film, or you're laughing, or you're like, what is that? You're just completely, in awe or surprise. But then you have that point of conversation, that launch pad, to have a conversation with the person next to you, to the people that you've came with, or just a total stranger about the topic. And, you can see yourself in different ways. Sometimes it's easier to examine your own life when you're looking at it from a little bit farther away. And just how we as humans are all connected in all these very disparate but very wonderful ways at the same time.
I literally love listening to you talk so much because the passion that comes through your voice when you're talking about films and the way that it does spark these conversations and bring the community together is one of those moments of just like perfect euphoria. It's like listening to someone talk about their most favorite thing, and you do that every time. So I know, and I can tell people confidently right now, that when they go see Park City films, any of them, they are hand selected by the best in the business because you love what you do, and it comes across so well when you speak about it.
Oh, well, thank you. It is something that I truly am passionate about. So that's probably the best part of my job, is not only getting to see all these fantastic films, but then being able to bring them to our community and talk about them with people, see how they react. Certainly people don't, maybe it's not their most favorite film that they've seen, but they've definitely learned something. And to have that conversation, to me, is the most rewarding part of my job, for sure.
Well, and you guys do such a good job of, like you said, bringing in such a variety, because last week you had EO, which was about a donkey traveling through Europe, and he gets treated so beautifully and then he gets treated so terribly. And I asked you about it before the interview started, and you said it was kind of an intense thing of emotions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's not, someone had commented on social media like, this is not a soft, cuddly movie about a donkey. It's like, well, no, it's not Disney. It's not meant to be spoon-fed to you, but it's reality, right? It's like how we as humans treat other animals on the planet, tells a lot about us and kind of how we treat each other. And so it is a fascinating look through the eyes of this seemingly kind of simple animal, but it is so much more complex. And just the beauty of how that story is told, and from Poland, because traveling through Europe, so that's always fun. But just seeing again how different people relate to each other, and then what are those pieces we can take away and use in our own lives, whether it enlightens us or it makes us stronger or braver or just more aware of the world around us. I mean, that's really the beauty of cinema.
I 100% agree, and I could sit here and talk to you about it all day because, like I said, it makes me so happy to just listen to you do so. Now, you guys have some great opportunities for people to get involved with Park City Film because you guys are a nonprofit here in the community, and you guys do such a good job of sparking these conversations, showing support, giving love where it's needed, and especially during some trying times. So if people would like to get involved with you guys as an organization, what steps can they take?
If you go to parkcityfilm.org, our website, you can click in the upper right-hand corner. We have our membership tab. So we've got all different levels of membership, from a student all the way to the director's circle and various benefits for that. We're starting to re-engage with our community with some member events. We have one coming up this weekend. We'll have another one coming up in a few weeks. We are also inviting all of our members next week to a special sneak peek screening by a local filmmaker of a film called Snowland. And that's on Thursday at 7 o'clock. On the 16th. So as a member, you can go for free to that. But also we have underwriters for films. EO was underwritten by Bev and Ray Kent, who are longtime members and supporters of Park City Film and just love independent cinema and wanted to make sure that this film in particular got seen in our community. They said, if you bring this film in, we will help support it financially to make sure that we can get it here in our community and people can come together around this story. And so there's a couple different levels that people can participate at depending on, your ability. And we'd love to have you. I mean, really, the more the merrier. It's more fun to show films with an audience, as I like to say.
100%. And then the conversation can be so much deeper with all of these different perspectives. And that's the coolest part is it's like reading, like you said, the shorts are the poetry of the film industry, but then taking these films, having a discussion around them and bringing in all sorts of different perspectives, I think makes it so much more engaging. And now people can go to parkcityfilm.org, get more information, maybe volunteer with you guys, maybe donate. But let's really quickly just mention that popcorn bar that we all know and love because that's always a good factor to get people in the door as well.
Absolutely. And so as part of our conservation efforts, and just because it's really fun, you can bring your own bowl here at Park City Film. You get $1 off your popcorn, and of course, lighten your footprint on the environment. But then it gives you a little more space to curate your bowl of popcorn. So we have fresh melted butter, we've got hot sauce, we've got Parmesan cheese, nutritional yeast, all kinds of different things. We've had a lot of Europeans during the Sundance Film Festival ask about sweet popcorn. So we do have some sweet items as well. I have never put sugar on my popcorn, but I know people like to put milk duds and raisinets in them. So we do not judge. We are just here to provide the ingredients, and you can be the creator of your deliciousness that you get to engage with while you're watching the movie.
Katy, thank you so much for taking the time, chatting with us and giving us all this great information. Spending time with you is one of the favorite things that I get to do in my weeks now.
Well, thank you so much. It's always great to be here. And yeah, parkcityfilm.org, come see the shorts. And then next week, we have a sneak peek of Snowland on Thursday, which you can check out more information by local filmmaker Jill Orschel.
Again, thank you so much. Make sure that you check out parkcityfilm.org. That way you can get your hands on so many incredible tickets and you can see this diverse but very well done lineup of films, shorts, all of it that they bring in and the events. You want to be part of their member community, so make sure that you check it out at parkcityfilm.org. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we've got more of the show, so stay tuned. Are you looking for a great book to read, and have you been struggling maybe in your career choice? Well, then there is one out there on the market called Suits and Skirts, Game On, The Battle of Corporate Power. And we've got the author joining me first thing this morning, Teresa Freeburn. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's so good to be here. Thank you, Madeline.
I really love everything about your book. Unfortunately, I did not have time to go through every single chapter, but I did skim each chapter, especially because there's such good names in there, like the one that's like, "Stop, you're stepping on my skirt." And so let's talk about what inspired you to write this book.
Oh, absolutely. And I guess the other part too is it's not just about the book, but it's about who I directed it to. So I've directed the book specifically to men. And I think that the whole reason that came out is because no one else seems to have done it, okay, for starters. But, I don't think it's any secret here. Women have been seeking power for decades. but to no avail. And my thesis is that men are actually the ones holding and keeping women back from attaining powerful C-suite and board positions. And the bottom line is what's really important here, because it's to the detriment of the corporate bottom line. And of course, the reasons vary, but the results don't. I think you just have to do the math, and women are still very highly underrepresented in leadership roles. And in the book, I'm actually speaking directly to the men that are blocking women's corporate advancement. So it's kind of this no hold barred discussion, and it will no doubt ruffle some feathers out there.
And you wrote this book, I would imagine, from some of your personal experience and what you had been through in the corporate world.
Yes, I did. I have worked for decades in the financial services industry, which is a pretty male-dominated industry to start with. So yes, I bring all of those learnings over the many decades and try and get them into some concise matter here. And I guess what fuels me on this too is, I keep hearing, you read the newspaper clippings and they talk about, all the progress that women have made in senior management and advancement in leadership. But I guess at the end of the day, if you call an increase in the Fortune 500 of 40 female CEOs over the course of 50 years a success, then I think we all need to question those math skills. One female CEO in 1972 and now 44 in 2022, 50 years. I don't think that's an improvement. And I think it's ridiculous and it's pathetic and it's shameful. So, I think what happens, we sort of get complacent when we hear the news. We hear about all the progress. We isolate one woman that got a promotion and we talk about that. But at the end of the day, I don't know, I feel that a goal like 50-50 would be a good way to set out a goal. And if you think of the population and the education that women now have and the history and experience that they have, it's like it's time for them to take their rightful place here. And I think the world will be very different if that can happen.
I love this so much. I'm one of 6 children and I have 4 brothers. And so even in my small household, I feel like it's a fight for power just amongst those little things. And so to take that to an industry much larger, let's take it to the big, huge corporate world, women do have to fight harder. And this is something I've recently noticed. I feel like the strategy that is used is they pit women against each other.
Oh, yeah, it's always easy to do that, right? It's like women are the blame for the reason why we can't be advanced corporately. I think it's about, there's some sabotaging going on out there, I believe, and that, corporations, which are primarily led by men, they seem to be a bit oblivious to it. They're indifferent, or worse, they're overtly obstructive to matters relating to the advancement of women. So if you really think about it, though, the major roadblock is men's lack of advocacy for women. And there's all sorts of reasons for that. But I think that there's still some pretty old-fashioned views out there. I think there's a lot of leaders that still consider that old, work family narrative to be a big problem still. Here's the reality. Women can have children and still be great at our jobs. Okay. I know it's a shocker, but, all these questions about maternity leave and, the motherhood penalty it is real. And these things are huge roadblocks for women to get ahead. And then, of course, you start talking about things like, what about the networks? We always say, oh, well, women, get involved with your networks. That's going to really help advance you in leadership. Here's the problem. Women's networks aren't working. Men's networks work really well because guess who they've got in those networks? All the men that are in those very powerful positions. We don't have as many in the women's networks. And I guarantee you, no man wants to join a women's network because there's no power there. Why would they? Where's the advancement going to come from? So
Uh-oh, I think we have maybe lost a little bit of connection, and I feel like all of these points that you are making are so fantastic, and this book is just so inspiring, not only for women to read it, but for men to read it. So let's go back to where we just left off with you talking about these groups and these networking groups.
Yes, my view there is that women's networks just aren't working. Men's networks work really well. And that's because there's a lot of powerful people in the men's network. So if you think about it, would you think a man would want to join a woman's network? Not a chance. There's no one there that they're going to gain more power from, learn from, follow the footsteps of. That just doesn't work that way. So we're at a disadvantage right there. And the boys clubs are pretty entrenched in corporations today. Just the idea that, men don't think anything of, going for a drink after work. What are women doing? We're rushing home to our families to get dinner on and get kids looked after and homework done and baths done.
Oh no, I think that we've lost your connection again, but all of this information is so powerful, and these are pieces and tidbits that people can get from your book so people can have this understanding. I feel like it's so powerful when women write books, sharing their experience, that way people can live through their eyes a little bit. And so this is a way for everyone to live through your eyes about what you went through in corporate America.
Thank you. Yes, it is. And I hope that folks get the same sort of takeaway that I did, and that is to imagine a world and what it would look like if women held a proportionate share of leadership roles, that is in the C-suite and at the board table. Think of what those agendas and those discussions and strategies and results will be. So that's what I leave your viewers with.
Well, I have another question for you. As you were writing the book, what steps did you learn along the way? Because obviously there's a lot that went into this book, a lot of personal experience, but you want more than just that. So what other resources did you use as you were writing the book?
Well, I did some primary research as well. I went out and did some online research with about 260 participants because I thought I want to have something to ground the book, make sure that it's not just Teresa's opinions here. And it was great because it really did sort of ground my thinking and my thesis here. So that was very helpful. But of course, I have so many stories, and as I start to talk to people in powerful positions, and they start to tell me their stories, again, it just validates where I was coming from to start with. I think this is something we just don't talk about too much, or not enough, as to the reasons why women are sitting at that very stagnated level. To say that 25% of board positions are now filled by women, why? Why isn't it 50? I'm shocked by that. But to hear all of the reasons why, like, well, thank you, Teresa. You'd make a really good board member. However, we just don't have any openings at this time. Well, then make the damn openings. That's kind of how I feel. So I think that the more I talk to people out there, the more I want to go and buy, sort of write that next book because there's so much more to say. So.
There's a lot to say, and there's a lot to learn from your books. Now, as it's going out into the world and people can get their hands on it, how do you think this could change experiences for women across the country?
Well, it's a good question you're asking, because although I wrote it for men, that's really who it's directed at. I've talked to some of my mentees. I have a few women that like to chat with me on a regular basis, which is fantastic. I love doing that. And they just said, no, Teresa, it's great that you've written it to direct at men, but as a young woman, I needed a playbook and I just got one. And I think that that's just a very telling situation, because I think that they honestly don't know about, what they should say when they're in positions that I've described in the book, and how to react and sort of how to keep their cool, but yet get their point across. So yeah, I think that was just a really great observation.
I think it's so powerful what you're doing, only because you are becoming an activist for women all over, and whether it's at that C-suite and board level, or whether it's at a lower position. Like I was telling you, I worked in that marketing firm for a little while, and it was hard work. I was fighting tooth and nail to constantly have my ideas be heard, but if the same idea was proposed by someone else, then it was immediately like, that was a great idea. And I was like, this makes no sense to me. Like I said that a week ago with a full pitch deck too.
And it's funny because I've had that exact same experience I've talked about in the book, and not once, not twice, several times, where I had such a great idea. And then I realized, why is this now such a great idea? It wasn't an idea like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, but now it is. So, and it was because a man in a more senior position in a leadership role actually made the position known to everyone, and everyone, oh, that's a great idea, but they weren't listening to me. So I feel sometimes that I'm a little, and this has gone back for decades, that I'm kind of invisible, even though you're sitting at an executive table, that your view just isn't as respected and considered as much as other men in the room. So it's real. The struggle is real.
It's so real. Now, if people would like to read your book, obviously it's directed towards men, but I do think it's a great playbook for women to get their hands on, and maybe just give them those little tidbits of advice on how to talk to someone, how to stand up for themselves, learning from your experiences and all of the other research you've done. Where can they buy your book?
Right now, it's available on Amazon, so please go ahead and order that. Just look it up under Suits and Skirts, Game On, Freeborn, and you will get that. It's on pre-order until next week, and it gets released, so it'll be in your hands very shortly. It's also available on other booksellers like Barnes & Noble as well, so help yourself, and it's in Kindle, softcover, and hardcover.
Teresa, thank you so much for giving us all this great information. Thank you for being the voice that women everywhere in corporate America need. We all really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Madeline. It's been my pleasure to chat with you. We'll talk soon.
Make sure that you go online, you pre-order her book while you can. If not, then wait until it's released, but get your hands on it just because it's a great guide and really a great lesson for everyone to learn. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we've got more of the show.
This resort report is brought to you by Sun & Ski Sports, your new mountain sports headquarters.
We want to thank you so much for tuning into your Friday edition of Wasatch Weekends. I've been your host, Maddie Evans. Again, make sure that you celebrate the extension of Park City Mountain being open April 23rd. This is the longest season since 1993, which is incredible for us and incredible for our snowpack, and we're just really excited to celebrate it, especially because I love Park City Mountain so much. Now, like we said earlier in the show, if you're looking for something great to do this weekend, well, then make sure that you go check out Park City Film, because these shorts are going to be amazing. These are the Oscar-nominated shorts. You can go see the animation tonight over there. You can go to parkcityfilm.org to get your tickets, or you can buy them an hour before the showing starts at the door, and you can enjoy that fabulous popcorn bar. Do not forget your bowl so that you can create your perfect popcorn scenario. I've been your host, Maddie Evans, and I'll see you tomorrow starting at 7 a.m.